Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
All right, hello and welcome to postseason edition of On Deck, brought to you by Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Big B. I'm joined by my backstop, the guy behind the scenes, the working man, Crispy Bacon. How you doing?
Doing good. Playoffs are here and almost the end of baseball season.
Yeah, the wild card round, the first round, however you guys look at it, went pretty good. I mean, unless you're a Mets fan, a Cardinals fan, um,
I guess a Seattle fan, depending on how you look at it.
Well, I mean, Seattle won, but I'm trying to think who the Rays lost, and the Blue Jays. So if you're fans of those teams, I mean, your season is over with. Sorry. I mean, you could join me and Chris because our season was over a long time ago. So, but props to the props to the Mariners for making it and then getting to the second round, or the ALDS as they're calling it.
Yeah.
Today they did lose a heartbreaker, 7-8 on a 3-run shot. We're trying to get Sarge on. He's having a little technical issues to talk about his Mariners. And the other final day, the Phillies beat the Braves 7-6. So
bummer.
Hopefully a bummer, because I'd like to see the Braves go back to back.
Hard to do.
And it looks like they tried to make a run in the 9th inning, scored 3 runs, but couldn't get that 4th and 5th one across. So maybe if J-Mac, if you're listening, check us out. Come on. So Chris, let's kind of recap our seasons. So what about your Rangers? What can we build on?
I think we all know pitching's probably number one. Kumar Rocker's been pitching in like fall league or something like that.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to move up to the major leagues from what I'm hearing next year or next season. But we need to get more pitching help. I think we need to spin kind of like we did this year. It kind of helped a little towards the beginning.
Yep.
Kind of fell off in the end, but maybe because you faced stronger teams, and it's going to be interesting how you play everybody next year at least once. So it's going to be an interesting off season.
Yeah, definitely. For the Twins, it definitely will be. I know they got a big decision on Correa. Kind of like this comment, kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but either way, it's a true comment. He's the product, and if you want the product, you're going to pay for it. And I mean, he's under contract for 3 years with a team or a player option. So to me, the ball's in his court, and
right.
we'll go with that. There's been rumblings early before the trade deadline, and I kind of think it's just the local media or Twins fans, saying that the Correa was talking to Judge to get Judge here. If they get Judge, great. They need starting pitching, and I'm tired of hearing, Twins are a small market team. They can't afford it. They can't afford this. They can't afford that. You can't tell me you can't go out and get Aaron Judge, top line starter, let's say DeGrom, or a couple of number 2 guys. You cannot tell me you're not going to get that money back in jersey sales and sellouts and T-shirts and hats. I mean, go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
If you want something, I was going to say, if you want something really bad or a player really bad, you'll do anything to get that player.
Exactly, and that's the thing is, I mean, look at what Texas did last year. I mean, they shocked the world by signing 2 of the 3 top free agents to multi-year deals on back-to-back days. I remember we were talking about it last year, Sportsman or something. I mean, we just couldn't believe that they did that. But
it's like we signed one player before the lockout, And
Yeah.
then when the lockout was lifted, we signed 2 or 3 more within
Yeah.
like 24 hours.
Yeah. It's just,
But yeah,
I mean, that's the one thing is Twins fans, you know, it's not that we can't spend the money. It's we don't want to spend the money. I mean, the ownership does not want to spend money, you know, and if they want to, I mean, the rich is going to get richer. I mean, that's the whole thing. You
but
spend money to make money.
but
And if
but
they,
kind but kind
go
of
ahead,
like what you're saying, Yankee fans will go, well, we do that too.
I'm
But
not saying it's going to bring the championship, but
right,
they want to play the small ball. They want to play, budget ball, money ball.
make the risks. Make the risk
Exactly.
if you want to win. Make risks.
That's the thing. You've got this newer stadium, and this goes for anybody. Pittsburgh, Washington, Colorado. You guys want to compete, then you got to compete in the pocketbooks. I mean,
You have to compete
you
in
can't
jersey
play money ball like the A's did back in
No,
'98 or whatever. It's a
You
whole
have to
different ball game. That analytics BS is that. It's a
It's
good tool to
stupid.
have, but it doesn't work.
I think it's a good gauge, but I don't think you should rely on it.
No, exactly. And like I said, Twins got the money. Any ball coach, there's no salary cap in baseball.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Do
It
we
should.
want to get into a deal like the Mets did and have to pay Bobby Bonilla until 2035 and not play? No, but I think right now that Twins are set up if they go out and get a decent starting pitcher or two. Let's say they do throw money at Judge and he comes here. I think our lineup is stacked. I mean, I wouldn't even bother with the bats. I definitely focus on starting pitching, relief pitching, maybe a closer. Get rid of Sano because Sano can't stay healthy as much as I. And it's not that I don't like the guy. It's just
Yeah.
It's time to go. I mean, he's not staying healthy.
But then you have the other thought of, well, what if Judge doesn't work out?
Well, exactly. I mean, and everybody's comments are all the same. What if he doesn't work out? You're right. I mean, look at the Rangers. They went out and spent money. A lot of people thought they were going to be a playoff team. Didn't work out. It's only year one. Now, if it's year 5 of those 7-year deals, okay, now we got to think of something. But, I just think right now that the, Twins, Rangers, any team that's not in the playoffs right now, they need to start opening up that pocketbook and, go out there and, for the Twins, it starts right here and, negotiate with Correa. And if he wants to stay, then we keep him. If he doesn't, then let him opt out. So,
Yeah.
What do you call the show?
it's on deck. All right. So, I'm just kind of looking at some free agents per se that are coming up that are looking. Bauer's supposed to be out there. Nolan, third baseman, I can't pronounce his last name. David Price, Sale, DeGrom, Verlander. I mean, even Verlander. Bring Verlander in for a year. He showed that he's in the playoffs right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Judge is out there. I mean, there's definitely a lot of free agents out there that if teams want to, they could definitely rebuild their team. I mean, Baltimore, another team knocking on the door this year, which we all thought, every one of us, that's been on this show, talked on Coast to Coast, picked Baltimore to be last. They finished fourth, and 4 or 5 games out of the playoffs. I mean, so they're knocking on the door.
Came close.
Yeah. Baseball is 162 games, and I mean, look at the Twins had the division wrapped up until about a month and a half left, and they tanked. I mean,
Yeah. Well, baseball, like you said, it's like, oh, we lost this game. We'll come back tomorrow or the day after.
and that's the thing is you can afford to lose games early, come back late, but again, you lose games late, I mean, it's hard to come back on. I mean,
You need to win your
like I said,
divisional
the Twins
games.
were, I mean, take the Mets for example. They were what, 10 games up going into September, I think it was.
Yeah.
J-Mac, if you're listening, please correct me. And they fell in a tie, fell to second place. The Braves are in first. You know,
Or
mean,
what? They had to lead the whole season pretty much.
except for the last 7 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the stat. The
That's
Dodgers,
crazy.
I mean, yeah, they got all the money in the world they're spending. Padres finished 22 games out of second place. You know, look at the lineup they have. You know, they traded for Soto and Bell and you know, and a pitcher, I can't remember, you know, and they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, they would have been, you know, I mean, they would have been a wild card in any other division, but they would have been a lot closer than, you know, 22 games out. I mean, yeah, the Dodgers are freaking nature, and I know a lot of people are rooting for the Dodgers to lose. You know,
Yep.
I mean, money's not going to buy championships. I mean, we know that.
No.
It's going to take talent. You know, but I'm to the point right now. It's, you know, any team. It's like, stop playing this money ball and open up your checkbooks, and the money will come. I mean, you go out there. You know, I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. I've said it before. Sporting contracts are way outrageously overdone. I mean, you know, Judge is going to get 10 for $500 million, $50 million a year. That's ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, but if you want to compete, you know, you got to get that. So
it's like when you're a kid, you want to save up for something. You do all you can to save up for whatever you want.
Yep.
And then you get the item or whatever.
I mean, Will Hudson from Top Row Collectibles, who will be on Tuesday Night Mania,
Yep.
does an auction site. He's got a product. It's going to the highest bidder. That's the way baseball is, and all teams need to get on board with that. I mean,
you want the Aaron Judge baseball? Go out and reach for it.
Yep. Well, or drop it like the Toronto Blue Jays fans did for number 61. I mean, yeah. So, but so let's get into the playoff action, Chris.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to take it between the Guardians and the Yankees? Who do you have in that series?
I'd like to see Cleveland get it. I know they've been struggling for a few seasons, and Yankees been to several World Series and in playoffs. I think it's time for an underdog. I'm rooting for the underdog, basically.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I feel New York's probably going to take it, but I think if any team that can knock them out right now, Guardians probably has the best shot. So I'm with you. I can see that. I can see that going 5-6 games. If it goes 7, then I kind of pull for Cleveland. You know, but if it goes early, I would be shocked if Cleveland. I don't think it'll be a sweep. Astros Mariners. Of course, Astros won today, so they're up 1-0.
I'd like to see.
Overall, Chris, who do you got in that series?
I'd like to see Seattle get it. Haven't been since 2001. I'd like to see Seattle get it. Houston's been in there enough.
And who is this? Whoa, Big Dog Greg, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
Not a whole lot, man. What's going on? Where's Coach D, man?
Coach is with the New York Mets buying a new car. So Greg, you know, your Cardinals had a good season, feel good story, fell short in the wild card round. So what's next for your Cardinals?
Well, I think what's next for our Cardinals is we really need to we have an excellent farm system going on. Got Jordan Walker, some other top prospects coming up on the fringe of making it to the bigs. But I think really what we need to do, we got a decent manager. I didn't think that Schultz was that bad, but got a good manager. But as far as Molina, he's moving on. I think he's going into coaching. Pujols is retiring. Who knows what's going to happen to Wainwright? So the three amigos have been together for most of their careers.
Yep.
They're gone, but I think that it's time to do pretty much what most of all of MLB teams are going to be doing this free agency is be looking at some fresh arms, hitting the market for some decent pitching.
Yeah, before you got on, I don't know if you're listening as you're getting on, but for me, the Twins got to go out and spend money. I mean, don't stop playing with this Moneyball BS. Go out, get yourself 2 solid arms. Go get yourself a bat. I know some local media Twins bases here on Facebook has said that Twins are eyeing Judge. I'm lukewarm on the deal because I know I'm not going to get excited because I know how the Twins spend money. But I mean, these teams that finished 30 some games out of first place need to go out and spend money. I mean, that's the name of the game now. You can't rely on your farm system 100%. You got to go out and get these superstars. You got to compete with the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Braves, all in the pocketbooks. And I know it's going to be hard, but it takes money to make money. And I think any team that goes out and signs some big free agents are going to get that back in jersey sales, ticket sales, souvenir sales, all that stuff. So
big names out there this coming year. There's going to be out there. DeGrom's going to be out there. I think that DeGrom's probably going to sign a massive contract with the Mets.
Well, I think any sports superstar right now is going to sign mega deals. I mean, we're getting in the era of that. At growing up, 3-4 years deals, that was a lifetime. Now it's 7 to 10 years deals. I mean,
yeah, I think that a lot of teams could go out there and build up a good pitching staff without having a lot of money. You got an aging Clayton Kershaw. I think want to end his career in LA just because he's been there his whole career. But he's a free agent. I think that half the Dodgers are up for free agency.
You got the Verlanders of the world. You got Wainwright, who is listed as a free agent. I don't know if it's a team option or a mutual option, but I mean, I hope Wainwright retires. But
there's some guys that you could get for decent contracts. You'd be rolling the dice, but they're pitchers that have had a lot of success in spurts. You're talking about like the Aaron Nolas, the Nathan Eovaldes, those guys. If you could sign them to maybe a short-term contract and see what you can get out of them for a season or two to maybe bolster your pitching rotation, I think that'd go a long ways for a team like the Rangers or McCards that needs some definite pitching help.
Sport Track here I pulled up right now, like the market value next year for some of these guys: Verlander $41 million, DeGrom $41 million, Carlos Racon $31 million, Noel Syndergaard $15 million. Wainwright, if he decides to play, $9 million. Kershaw, $31. Aroldis Chapman, a decent, I don't know what's going on with him, but he was been decent, except for this year, $7 million. I mean, like you said, there's some guys out there that could definitely I'm just seeing here who else might throw out there. Anderson. I mean, like you said, Greg, there's a lot of people out there that can be a decent, number 2 guy, or you can sign a couple 2 guys. I mean, so.
Yeah, a position player that's at the top of his game, that's in his mid to pushing late 20s might be a bit pickier and want like a longer contract. But, a 32, 33-year-old pitcher with maybe a few decent years left in the tank, I don't think is going to be sweating it out, pushing for like a 5-year deal.
I think you're looking at like Trey Turner, going to be 30 next year. He's probably going to want a massive contract. JD Martinez, DH, he's in his mid-30s, might, want a couple years just to hang around and see if he can still do it. Just looking at some of the batters here, Rizzo, he might want a little bit decent contract, but yeah, I mean, got to spend money, and we're waiting for Sarge to jump on, talk about his Mariners. But so far, Greg, who do you like in that Guardian Yankee series?
I I would really like to see the Guardians of the Galaxy pull this one off. I think that most everybody that's not living in the Bronx would probably like to see the Guardians of the Galaxy pull this one off. But I think overall, when you look at that lineup from New York, I think that New York has the stronger lineup as far as the pitching standpoint. I think that the edge goes a little bit to the Yankees, although, Garrett Cole is not unstoppable. He's not unhittable like we once thought he was. Severino still has some really good stuff. It's just a matter of, sometimes Boone pulls these guys out when they still have good stuff left in the tank, and he goes to his bullpen quite frequently. So I think that I like the Yankees as far. My head says the Yankees, but my heart says the Galaxy. How's that sound?
No, that's exactly what I say too. My heart wants the underdog story, just like Chris, and all three of us are going with Galaxy. But I think we all know that it's going to be a battle, and it wouldn't surprise us if the Yankees win. In the other one, Astros took a 1-0 lead after a 3-run shot today in the bottom of the ninth over the Mariners. Greg, what do you think about that series, Mariners Astros?
Well, I thought that today turned out a little bit differently. I really have liked Logan Gilbert all season long. He's had some really good stuff. He's had flashes of greatness, throughout this season. He's had a few bad spots against a few bad teams, but today he showed up really, really well. The Mariners came prepared. They were teeing off on Verlander. I thought that today was going to be a total mismatch, but I like how scrappy the Mariners are. They have a decent pitching staff. When you're looking at Logan Gilbert, when you're looking at George Kirby, Robbie Ray, they all have decent stuff. They don't throw a lot of balls. They don't walk a lot of guys. They don't give up a whole ton of extra base hits. So I think from a pitching standpoint, they can keep themselves in the game because they have decent enough arms, to go 6-7 innings into a game and keep it relatively close. This is another one on paper where I think that the Astros are more talented on paper. But right now, when you're talking about the young pitchers with Kirby and Gilbert out there, and they have live, fresh arms, I think that anything can happen. It was pretty impressive to see that the Astros, because the Astros are right up with the Yankees. I mean, unless you're living in Houston, I think a lot of people hate the Astros for the stigma that came with the drums and the trash cans and the signs.
Allegedly.
So, I think that the Astros are probably going to bounce back in game 2 now. I thought that the Mariners were going to split, but I thought that they were going to split tomorrow. So that's kind of where I am on that. I thought that the Mariners were going to be down 0-1 at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Chris, I was going to say you had a fan here, but I think it might be a little stalker dude. So, but I'll let you take the mic. I'll let you take the mic. We won't show the last comment, but
yeah.
Chris, what do you think of that Astro Mariners series?
I think it's going to be a good one. Seattle hasn't been there for a while, and like we talked about, Houston has, and I think it's going to be a back and forth series. I think that Seattle can pull it out, can pull it off.
It's a complete opposite from the last time the Mariners were ever in the playoffs, because last time they were in the playoffs, they were absolutely loaded. They were absolutely loaded, had a fantastic record. They were in many ways regarded as favorites, to make it to the World Series. And this is just a scrappy team that comes to play every day. They have a really hot rookie, a guy that, he is a first pitch swinging guy, has a lot of exit velocity when he hits the ball. So, and Julio Rodriguez. So they do have some good players, kind of up and down that roster. I don't think they're as strong roster wise as Houston, but man, they get after it. They play good defense, and they have decent starting pitching.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to see Seattle do it. Like Greg said, you got a lot of young guys there that out the ball, but breaking right now, Cleveland takes a 1-0 lead on a home run from Quam. Solo shot in the third. So good luck to them. Like I said, hopefully Guardians can take at least one from New York right now and then go back home. So on the NL side, Greg, we haven't touched on yet. Let's go with Braves and Phillies. Phillies already take a 1 game to none lead with today's game. Who do you have in that series, Phillies and Braves?
Well, of course, the Phillies took the game. They squeaked it out 7-6. They were looking pretty dominant, through the first 4 innings of the game. Had a 4-1 lead. They were kind of spraying the ball all over the field, getting some good hits and everything, even laying down a few decent bunts to get people over. Even Bryce Harper tried to lay down a bunt, but and he did, but it didn't go where he wanted it to. But I think that the Braves are by far like the more talented team. I mean, they have a better overall pitching lineup, and they're pretty stacked up and down the lineup. But Philadelphia has came to play. I mean, you saw what they did in the 9th inning against my Cardinals. They were down 2-0. Next thing you know, it's like 6-2. So when their bats get hot, anything can happen. I mean, they have a lot of pop in that lineup with Harper, Hoskins, Segura, Rimalto. So the Phillies are no slouch. Phillies kind of have the hot hand right now, kind of like the Mariners are kind of playing the hot hand right now. But I look for a good bounce back. I'm kind of surprised that, this is another one. I'm kind of surprised that the Braves, having home field, didn't take game 1. They had their ace out there, Max Fried, but he was a little rough, giving up some good shots. They were just putting the ball in play, throughout the entirety of his stay out there on the mound. So the Braves fought back, made it a decent game, but the Phillies today was just too much. But I think that the Braves are going to bounce back. I think they're probably going to win the next 2. It's just going to kind of depend on what kind of pitching performance they get out of Wright, because the 2 strongest Cy Young candidates in Verlander and Wright. Wright has had a few really rough spots in the last couple months. He got touched up pretty bad by the Oakland A's of all teams. And, even though he's got a great win and loss record, there are times where he does lose a little bit of control out there still. And you're talking about a pitcher that was sub 500 going into the season, and now he's a Cy Young candidate. So are we going to get Cy Young right? Or are we going to get, the previous season and a half right out there?
Chris, what do you think about the Braves Philly series?
I'd like to see the Braves go back-to-back World Series, and it's hard to do in any sport. Baseball is probably the second, most difficult championship to get, probably. But I would like to see Atlanta get it. I think it's going to be a tough battle. Philly's really good, but hopefully Atlanta can take it.
Yeah, I really hope so too. And as much as I criticize or joke around with Will Smith, I think that still was a good move to get him out of there. But they definitely, Swanson's turned it around. They got some good battles. This one I can see going. What's it, 5 games? So I think we'll definitely get a 5-gamer out of this one. And I am pulling for the Braves to
rival games in these series.
What's that?
In the National League, we're having all rival series. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't actually really all but one series is all rivalries, really. I mean, so let's get into the late series. Padres versus the Dodgers. Chris, who do we got in that one?
Padres. I like to see San Diego get a playoff victory, a playoff series victory.
All right, Greg, how about you?
You know how I am about the underdogs. I would love to see the Padres, because the Dodgers for months now, they've been up at the top of the MLB futures for the World Series. They haven't lost that spot. They've been the big favorites all season long, best record in baseball. But I think you guys may have remembered early on in the season of the show that I didn't have the Dodgers picked as a World Series contender, but I also had the Mets kind of sticking around a little bit longer at this point too, though. So I think that where it is a rivalry and these teams in the leagues play each other more than anybody else, I think the Padres and the Dodgers have seen a ton of each other this year, and this season the Dodgers have definitely been the big brother to the little brother to the Padres. But I think that they've seen enough of each other, and the bats are starting to get really hot with the Padres. It wouldn't put it past them to make it past the Dodgers in this round. It's a 5-game series, so it's a short series. So I think that they could sneak 3 games off the Dodgers. I really do.
Yeah. And Tim's firing in here. He's been trying to get on Sarge, but the Mariners would have run through Robbie Ray came. Oh, yep. Mariners would have won. Then Robbie Ray came out. Yeah, you're probably right, Tim. There's always a game 2. So, looking at some things here coming across ESPN. Springer, Blue Jays player Springer awaiting travel clearance. I guess he's got a head injury, so we know how that's going around. Concussions in the NFL,
Yep.
and so everybody's definitely watching for that. Philadelphia Phillies Robinson hurt in the celebration, out for the rest of the playoffs, or at least the NLDS. So I'm trying to see what the injury was. So
Do we have a Grammatica situation?
I don't know. I'm looking. They just said it was a devastating injury. I don't know. I'll have to look and see if we can find something on that. Then there was another one. Dodgers reliever. Nope, that's not the one I was going to read on. I'm trying to find out who punched the wall. I saw that, and now it's gone. One of the players punched the wall. I think it was Kimball. Yeah, it might have been. I just had it here and lost it. But yeah, somebody pitcher punched the wall after leaving and broke his finger, and he's out the rest of the playoffs. He just had surgery on it. So, that's what you get for celebrating, I guess. Don't do it too hard. So, but what else? So right now, Greg, who do you have? Who could you see going into the World Series?
Previously, I had the Astros and the Mets. I thought the Mets, before they had their mini collapse, they didn't really have a collapse, but they held on to the National League East for months and months and months, and then they just got swept in a few bad series against some bad teams, and they've been kind of hit and miss. But previously, I thought that the Mets and the Astros were my pick to make it to the World Series. Looking at it now, I'm thinking it's probably going to be, and it's tough because we've had a few upsets today. But I still think that the Astros are going to pull it together, and I think they're going to squeak by the Mariners. The Mariners are going to put up a fight, but I think the Astros are going to get it together. They do have a pretty loaded pitching staff, and they do have a pretty deep lineup. And then in the National League, I'd love to see the Braves make it again. I thought that it was pretty awesome. I'm not like a huge Braves fan, but you know how hard it is to repeat and three-peat in sports. So I was kind of hoping to see them But I don't know. I think that the Phillies actually probably have the best chance because for some reason they're just playing lights out. Ranger Suarez is dealing the ball really well. Zach Wheeler's been tossing it really well. Their pitching staff is finally starting to get to where we thought it was going to be. They have on paper a really solid pitching staff, but Nola has been inconsistent all year. He's starting to hit the strike zone pretty good. Ranger Suarez has been a huge, huge blessing for them in the last 2 months of the season and has provided much relief. Hoskins is pounding the ball. Harper's back to full health. Real Muto is calling good games and really laying some good wood to the ball. Segura's playing pretty decent out there. So I think that the Phillies probably would be my dark horse team to make it.
Okay.
Phillies Astros.
All right, Chris, how about you? Who would you take in the World Series? You're on mute, Chris.
I'd like to go with Seattle and let's go San Diego.
All right, I know there'll be a certain the San Diego area that would be very, very happy for that. I would be too. So for me, I mean, the smart money, you're looking at the American League, Astros, Yankees, and the National League, Dodgers, would probably be your smart money. For me, I'd like to see Seattle Braves. I mean, Galaxy Braves. But Greg, you're right. Philly's been on just a tear right now. It wouldn't shock me if Philly sneaks it in. But right now, today, I'll go Seattle. I'll go Seattle Braves, even though I do want the Padres to get in there. Speaking of the Padres, there was a question brought up, or a little meme brought up from Facebook that, you see these choose one. They always list two players, choose one, and it's always, like Barry Bonds and then like Ichiro or Barry Bonds and some Yahoo player. But this one's actually a pretty good one. Chris, you might not know too much about Tony Gwynn, but me and Greg do. So choose one of these players. Tony Gwynn and Ichiro. Who would you want on your team, Greg?
You're talking about two guys that hit over 3,000 hits in their career, and both guys that had high batting averages. Tony Gwynn, I think, was lifetime or around 320 or so. I think Ichiro was just below that, maybe. But I think that I would probably love to have a Tony Gwynn on the team because Tony Gwynn he was kind of like the Magic Johnson of baseball. You know how Magic Johnson went out there and he always had an infectious smile. Mm-hmm. He was always enjoying his time, had a pure love for the game, had a pure love for the competition. Tony Gwynn was that way. He was a real good people person. He loved the game, was always smiling, never seemed to have, a frown on his face. And if he did, it wasn't for too long. I think that Tony Gwynn was an outstanding teammate, and not to take anything away from Ichiro, but from what I've seen from Tony Gwynn, he was always one of the more, he was one of the more likable guys in the league. No, I don't think anybody had a bad thing to say about Tony Gwynn, and I haven't really heard much bad said about Ichiro, but Tony Gwynn was just one of those guys that just kind of stood out. When anybody talked about the Padres, that's the first name, that's the first thought that came up was Tony Gwynn. So
exactly.
So I would take Tony Gwynn.
Chris, how about you? Between Tony Gwynn and Ichiro?
No, I'm probably going with Tony Gwynn. I mean, I've heard both names before, and I know both had good success in MLB, and I just heard a little bit Tony Gwynn a little bit more, so I'll probably go with him.
Yeah, we're debating in the chat which one. It's a tough call, but I got to go Tony Gwynn because, like Greg said, not that Ichiro didn't have that smile on his face all the time. He's just the first name that pops up. You talk Seattle baseball, Griffey's the first one, Randy Johnson, then it's Ichiro. It might even be Edgar Martinez before Ichiro. But when it comes to Dodger or Padre baseball, it's Tony Gwynn. And I think if I recall, I think J-Mac found a stat where if Tony Gwynn would have went for his last 1,100 at bats, he still bat over 300. That's just how good that guy was. Struck out, a handful of times that I can recall. I mean, let's see here. 85 times he struck out in his career. I mean, some people are doing that, first month of the season. So, no, I'm sorry. He struck out 434 times. Read the wrong stat. But still, a lot of people are striking out that in a half a season, a half a career, and he did it all in one. But so with that being said, I wish Dirk could have made it. He's taking care of some personal business. The Mets lose, his car dies on, he has to buy a new car. So maybe there's coincidence there. I don't know. But we'll hopefully get Dirk on next week. He can talk about his Mets and how good they weren't. And I know there's a certain Braves fan that's waiting for him to come on so he can talk, on how good they were. But
That'd be
Greg, final thoughts.
Well, it's just exciting. The playoff baseball again. I mean, we've been talking baseball. The playoffs are finally here. It's sad that our teams aren't in it. The Cardinals got roughed up by the Phillies. We had game one. It looked like it was locked up, but regardless of that, still some. I mean, as a fan of the game, and not just of the Cardinals, but a fan of the game, it's just great to see this competition. And as we see in playoff baseball, the competition just gets even more fierce. The runs are even harder to come by, and it's just excellent baseball, decent weather. The climate's perfect for it right now, and it's just a good time of year, and it's just a good time to sit back and enjoy a good game, whether your team's in it or not.
All right. Yeah, just looking at the score of the Yankee game, Yankees tied it up with the home run in the bottom of the third by center fielder Bader, Bader. I don't know. First time I heard that name. So, Chris, your final thoughts, bud.
Yeah, it's going to be a good playoff, position for these teams, and hopefully we get some good matchups along the way and some underdogs take over.
Yep, and for me, just keep checking out Coast to Coast Network all week long. In about an hour or about 2 hours from now, we will have Tuesday Night Mania. Myself, Crispy Bacon, Adam Barber, Top Rope Collectibles, Will Hudson will be on. We'll break down the world of wrestling. Also, myself and Tim Hendricks will be starting a show November 1st. Don't really have a name of it yet, but it's going to be some kind of list show. We're going to have a topic. We're going to have a different list on there. Catch that Tuesday mornings, 9:00 a.m. Central Time. And also, there's rumored to be a hockey show starting up in the near future with our beloved J-Mac, who is also the voice of the Oregon Cougar Women's Professional Football League. And if you didn't check out the tryouts signing day on the 8th, check that out. Our guys were there, and we plan on doing a lot of work with them guys, probably a weekly show or something. So with that being said, I'm Big B. There's the working man, Crispy Bacon, and our substitute, Mr. Greg down there. You guys all have a good night, and see you next week on Deck. Have a good night.